Hello and welcome to a new episode of Stanton Gossip, where Mr. Masocast and me are talking about some videos or other kinds of media that we found out about in the last week and suggesting it to you to digest. Hello, Maso.
Hello.
How are you doing?
It's been a day and it is pretty late, but it is even more late for you.
Yeah.
So talk about some gossip.
Yep. So
Um
just before we start, it's 4 a.m. here. What time is it for you, Maso?
7:15.
And we had a really crazy conversations that started with Star Citizen and ended up with like first world problems.
World politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's we're starting with this a little bit later and a little bit more tired, but yeah, it's worth it. All right, so the first one, this is something more for like NA region, I would say.
Yeah. North American region. Yeah. Uh so this week we found out that Bill Nye the Science Guy is a Star Citizen fan. So there'll be a link in the description to the Twitter post. It's from the Planetary Society, and I guess somebody in the Planetary Society, possibly Bill Nye himself, has photoshopped his very recognizable face and bow tie onto a Star Citizen character. And yeah, there was some back and forth in this Twitter thread between
Official Star Citizen.
CIG
Yeah.
themselves, and apparently Bill Nye the Science Guy has been invited to go tour a studio and is going to take them up on that when obviously when pandemic willing or whatever. But I thought that was pretty fun. I grew up kind of watching Bill Nye on TV and stuff like that, and he's a pretty prolific kind of science educator, and it's just kind of fun to see him
I'm so glad we're
in.
doing this because I saw the tweet. I mean obviously I use Twitter a lot. I saw a tweet, I was like, I don't know what this is all
Who's that
about.
guy? Yeah.
Yeah. And then you
No.
got so excited about it. I was like, what? And then when you explained it made so much sense. So it's really amazing. And I like these
Yeah.
little things, These are the little things that kind of warm
Well,
your heart, Like
Well, that's the thing too, right? Like Star Citizen is not a like our community is not a big community, right?
mm,
So to see that somebody as well known as Bill Nye is like aware of it and involved in it and is a backer was just like,
yeah, that's very
that's neat.
cool.
That's cool.
Isn't
Um
don't we know that like Elon Musk knows about it as well or something? Am I wrong? I picked that up somewhere, but maybe I'm wrong.
no.
I
I
don't know.
That does it does ring a bell, but I can't remember off the
Yeah,
top
I
of my head.
have some. I don't know, but yeah,
He is a
scratch that.
gamer. Like we know he's a
Yeah,
gamer.
yeah, I know
So
that. I know that. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So the
Um
next one is about the new. Well, what is his title? Community
He's
something.
now an associate community manager, and this is if you don't know him, Jake Bradley or Jake Acapella. He was a member of the Relay Station podcast. He's been on Captain's Table a couple times. Just all around, like kind of a super fan in Star Citizen. And most recently, the thing that you'll know him from is the new roadmap and the progress tracker. That's Jake.
Actually,
That's
as a matter
kind
of
of been
fact, today the new roadmap came out,
yeah,
and on Reddit it's his post. You can see Jake Capella
yep,
telling you
yeah.
to refresh and click on it.
So he got hired by CIG to do the roadmap a little while ago, which by itself is pretty cool. I know that CIG hires actually quite a few of their fans, um, and yeah, and then so recently he's been promoted to associate community manager, and I thought that was just cool. It's cool to shout him out. I've never met the guy, but I've talked with him a little bit on Discord, uh, and like I said, I've seen him on a bunch of podcasts. He's a funny guy. He's just yeah. So proud of him. Glad that he's kind of doing this, and I think that he's done really good work on the roadmap, and it's cool to see that he's kind of like progressing a little further as well. So
It's very important because
worth a
these
shout out.
people who get like into CAG, if let's say, I don't think CAG would employ anyone who cannot do their job. So like having these people capable of doing stuff who were on the other side, especially on the community side, I think that brings a lot of value for everyone in the community, because and
Yeah.
yeah, eventually it washes out, you become part of the system and all that, which doesn't mean that you're going to do a bad job. Look at Xylo. But it's important. I think it brings some.
Well, I
mm,
think it does bring something for sure. I think that's evident in this the like how dense the progress tracker is, for example. Like for the longest time, everybody was like, the roadmap sucks, the roadmap's not accurate, nobody knows exactly what's happening, blah 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 blah. And Jake was one of those people who was criticizing it, right? And now so Jake basically was able to go to CIG and make something better and bring it to the backers, and absolutely, like, it's so much information, it's too much information. It's like,
yeah.
like if any criticism you had about the roadmap not being accurate, like, that's gone now, because like that progress tracker has got so much fucking information in it, you could lose yourself in it for a couple weeks, and they keep adding more, which just happened today apparently, but I guess we'll talk
Yeah.
about that as news on Sunday.
Yeah. I had similar experience in Elder Scrolls Online, where Gilliam the Rogue was one of the streamers, and like very prominent PvP player in Elder Scrolls Online, and was always his stuff about balance in the game, in PvP especially, and whatnot. And now he's working with the PvP design team for 3 years or so,
Hmm.
and it has been fruitful. So yeah, like I like these collaborations, because most of the
Yeah,
people who are streaming or making YouTube videos also do some other things in their life, are capable of doing something else that can be used. So it's really cool. Speaking
totally.
of community stuff, we had a post on Spectrum that brought quite a lot of attention, not only from community but also Xylo and crap. I don't know what the other guy's name is.
RabidCrab, or Calyx.
Calyx, yeah.
Calyx. Yeah.
So go into it. This you were following this more than I did.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so basically, a guy by the name of RabidCrab posted on
Spectrum.
the
Right?
Ask a
Yeah.
Devs portion of Spectrum, basically saying like, why has there been no responses here? Like, I feel like I keep asking stuff, everybody keeps asking stuff, and nothing gets responded to. And Calyx basically responded with, and this is where Chegg and I kind of disagreed. We had an argument off the show, but but I think we kind of eventually kind of came to a similar kind of a situation. And I think one of the benefits of Calyx responding to this was that he really kind of humanized kind of where these devs are coming from. Like a lot of these devs are responding to these Ask a Dev threads in their free time.
Yeah, because they're
And
fans
they're
of the
doing
game, super fans of the
they're
game,
fan
right?
yeah, totally, like, and I think it just kind of went a good way to like humanizing, like, the people who are behind this game. Like yeah, maybe it looks like they're ignoring these hard posts or whatever when they're
They
responding to like
are.
memes or whatever like that. But like, yeah, like, it's not like they respond when they have the energy to do so, when they have the answer, when they have the clearance to do so, when it's not a spoiler. And that was one of the interesting things I thought about Calyx's response as well, is he like very clearly outlined all the bullet points that he has to go through basically before he decides to respond to kind of one of these harder questions. And it was, I thought that was good. It was good to read that from him and see where they're coming from. Xylo ended up jumping in here as well and had some other responses, but the link will be in the description. And
Yeah.
it's something that's interesting to take a look at. I mean,
Just
I like I said, I have a different opinion about it than Chag, and you
yeah,
probably will have different opinions of it as well. But it's still a good thread to read for
it
sure.
is, and very important. And I just want to like so to for you guys to understand where we disagree. I think Calyx's points are amazing. I'm grateful for any dev who, especially in their free time, jump into Spectrum, and either make a joke or something, or respond to a joke, which was one of the points, or actually answer something that they can. That's great. I just feel like if we have a system where we are upvoting things to be answered on Spectrum, and if CAG does not have resources to deliver that promise of answering those questions, they should either address that or change the way they do things, or
Mm.
someone from community team needs to take responsibility and either answer this or explain why they cannot answer it. And this
Yeah.
comes from like upvoted questions for Spectrum, and also whenever we have AMA and we get a bunch of questions asked, especially from some people like Board Gamer that comes with a fucking list of like,
Yeah.
solid questions, and then
Interconnected questions.
there are really important questions that everyone wants to hear. They're like upvoted before AMAs. They get skipped, and I understand they get skipped, but we never get the reason like, hey guys, we're not going to do
Yeah.
this anymore, right? Or
And
whatever.
that's legit. I do think that like that is something that could be better addressed, and and at least give us a heads up like because like I said, like Calix outlined like his criteria for what it takes for him to answer.
Which is
If a
crazy.
question is if a question is not meeting that criteria, or if it's like, I can't talk about this, just say that. That'd
Yeah,
be, you know.
and there's
And
gonna
there are
be
gonna be
sticks and stones for sure
yep.
because some people don't understand how this works. But there's gonna be
Yeah.
sticks and stones anyways, and I'm always for the fruitful solution where you're like, you come out and say, well, listen guys, we cannot.
Yeah.
And we talked about this as well, where the game evolved and the number of people in the studio and the
Yeah.
project is so much bigger, and some things seemed feasible at the beginning as a good idea, and now when you have like what, like 4 plus 100 people, millions on the account, like development of huge game,
Yeah.
10 years of development, whatever, some things just cannot be done the same way that you were thinking of
Totally.
10 years ago.
The way
And
that they
they
did
just they
happen,
just exactly, and they just, it is what it is. But
like
I
we used
would
to get
really like to
weekly
have that, like,
we
hey,
get we those questions used to be answered by Chris Roberts himself
imagine
every
that.
week. Like you
Imagine
know,
that. Yeah.
but it just like yeah, it's just the company is just not at
Cool.
that place anymore. So
All right.
yeah.
The link in
Next
description, just like everything else, and
yeah,
just check
yeah.
it out. At least read the first set of questions and the developer response. It's not that much, but it's very very beefy information for sure.
Ultimately, like I'd say the first four posts
Yeah.
probably are the ones to read. There's more in the thread obviously as well if it's interested in you or if it's interesting to you. But yeah. And yeah, like if you have a different opinion than we do, absolutely drop it down in the comments.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um I
Be
like to
civil,
read in the
please.
contrast as well. Yes, be civil. Yes. Yeah.
Because even if we disagree with this, personally,
Yeah.
me and Maso, or I often disagree with some of the devs or whatever, shaming and talking trash to like
Yeah.
there, as Maso says, they're people trying to, working their jobs and trying to deliver the game that we all want. So you
Yeah.
gotta remember there's a human being on their side, doing their job, and talking shit to them is not very nice and it does not help any. So yeah.
I'll go one further. I'll just say it's never appropriate. Never
Sure.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Like treat everybody like a human being because in this case, we
It's
all are.
especially here. I mean, we are naming people, right? So we're targeting them specifically, like Xylo or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on.
Okay, next one. There's a video I watched. So this week, okay, well, I'll preface all this by saying that we realized that a lot of our gossip sections tended to focus on specific channels like Salty Mike, Astropub, Board Gamer, Space
Momentum.
Tomato,
Yeah.
blah blah blah
Big
blah.
channels.
So this week I kind of went out of my way to like just like really branch out from what I usually am watching and like try to find some new channels. And I did find some cool ones. And the first one I wanted to kind of shout out here is Hybrid V or Hybrid V Audio, I think is the actual channel name. Yeah. Link will be in the description. And he did a video on the physical damage system and the gold standard of ships and stuff like that. Kind of analyzing how it works right now in some of these ships, how it's supposed to work in the end product. Really goes into detail about the physics behind what they're intending to do with the physical damage model insofar as like the individual projectiles have mass and oh my god my camera died, okay it's back. um have mass and like projectile penetration and stuff like that. And he talked about how there's actually games out there that right now that are even doing it, which is I thought was interesting because like at this point, I was kind of starting to think like the whole concept of a physical damage system with actual projectiles that can, penetrate through the hull. And so I was kind of thinking like, is that really realistic? But yeah, anyways,
Turns out it can
this
be.
was turns out it's actually already being done by
Yeah.
games like War Thunder and stuff like
Mm.
that. So
Um,
yeah,
you
anyways.
also you this is kind of cool. I just want to say so. There's another channel which called Drinkers with Gaming Problems, and these are basically new channels that we're bringing to you, kind of, because this is what we want this show to be about, to
Mhm.
give you something new or raise your attention to, if some bigger channel does something crazy. I just want to say, like, both of these channels, these are not brand new channels that are trying to figure out what they are, how to create content or anything. They're smaller compared to Salty Mike or Astropub or what we mentioned. However, these videos are very well put together. The
Mhm.
sound is
Mhm.
flawless.
Yeah.
They have a form
Good production value. Yeah.
perfect. Like, it's not something. It's not some B production or whatever. It's really spot on. And these guys, and they're not that small as well, because Star
No.
Citizen
Oh, they
community is
about
not
like
that big, right? But
2,000 subscribers
yeah.
ish, somewhere around
Um,
there. Yeah.
they're nowhere near as us, but
Yeah. Yeah. We're huge.
yeah,
We're doing them a favor here by shouting
exactly.
them out.
Yeah, but they do deserve attention, and you actually might enjoy them. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, actually, another interesting thing I found out about from this video, if you guys have been watching our shows, I was saying a few episodes ago about how I was having issues with my Talon before 3.12 because it kept just shutting down on me. Turns out this guy's tested that, and the Talon is actually built to a gold standard as well, meaning that it actually has all of its components physicalized in it. And because of desync, the Talon is prone to having shells impact its power plants, and then eventually your ship just shuts down. He actually tested that in this video and shows it happening, which is pretty cool and
Yeah.
also a little bit frustrating because it's happening because of desync. But
Yeah.
but anyways, it's a really cool
Let's not
video.
talk about these things, skills,
Yeah,
and
we won't talk about desync right now. Yeah, it's too real.
yeah.
But yeah, link down below. Cool video. Definitely check that one out.
Let's go over to Drinkers with Gaming Problems as another,
Sure.
like, basically new channel. So this is something
Mhm.
that I watched some time ago, um, and it was it was a video that explains basically how backers are seeing Star Citizen, if it's gonna succeed or fail, and how many people want it to fail and whatnot. Like, it was more of like their view of future projection of Star Citizen, where it is right now and whatnot. And it was a really good video. But then you found out that this person who is doing the videos is actually Navy veteran,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah.
Um,
He's still serving
or still
actually.
serving. Yeah, I don't want to obviously offend anyone, or you know what I mean. Like, uh, but he has so much experience serving on some massive ships like carriers and
Yeah.
whatnot. He's in
Yeah.
British Navy, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his perspective, like, parallels between, like, Star Citizen ships, especially like
Mhm.
warships, and actual today's naval vessels. It's pretty damn good. I'll let you go on with this. I
Well,
like the
yeah.
idea.
Well, I think for me, the thing I wanted to mention is that like originally I found this guy because he'd made a video about like why Star Citizen is taking so long, and I kind of like I think he was pretty
Disagree.
off base. Yeah, with this video, he used a lot of analogies about like other studios with bigger teams working on other and kind of tried to break it down into like a man hours kind of thing, and it's not really, at least from how I understand it anyways and from what I've heard from other software developers, it's not really how software development works. So it was pretty off base, and like I kind of I didn't I just kind of like put that channel down for like
Mm,
for a while after that video. I was like kind of turned off by it. I was like he seems like a pretty reasonable guy, but like what he's saying here is not correct.
You know how
But
I believe some of this happens because he's like military personnel. Probably
yeah,
has friends who claim that they know stuff, and then you do your research, and if you get like misinformation or
or he's just
yeah,
looking at it from more of like a
outside
like
perspective,
that
right?
sort of, yeah, that sort of perspective. But
Mm.
anyway, so I put that video down, um, and then randomly YouTube started like suggesting me other videos from his channel, and one of them, yeah, one of them was specifically, it's his playlist. What is it
Versus
called? It's called Starships and Warships from a Military Perspective. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll give this a go. Oh my god, so cool. Yeah,
mm.
so this guy, like Chegg already said, he's got 12 years experience as a bridge officer, a warfare officer in the British Navy. Served on the bridge of like minesweepers, marine assault ships, aircraft carriers, really cool stuff. And he takes kind of his experience, which is a lot of experience,
And people
and
who
kind
don't
of
know,
like,
like bridges, creme de la creme. We don't have a regular bridges on our ships in Star Citizen, but basically that's where
yeah,
you steer the ship from and bring and deliver the tactical decisions.
yeah,
that's the brain of the ship basically. So he's
totally.
it's not a captain, but like probably one of the
And
staff
so
officers and what.
we'll put a link here to the actual playlist.
Yeah,
And this one for sure check out. Like obviously it's speculative because we don't know how capital
of
ships are going to
course.
work, but he just kind of like analyzes things from the perspective of an actual naval officer, and then kind of does a bunch of equivalents with like how he thinks it could play out in Star Citizen, and it was so fun. Like this was really cool. I'm really glad that I went back and looked at this stuff
Yeah.
because it was really interesting. And
It's
like
it's
I feel
always
like,
nice to see this perspective from some other profession that is somewhat
yes,
connected.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
have morphologists with the
architect,
architect
yeah,
reviews, which is so cool. And then we both agree that Seer the sixth also he has some experience working on board
aviation, yeah,
aviation, and then it's that kind of a video which to me
yeah,
has even if speculative is so much it just feels good to listen to these people like compared it
yeah.
with like with knowledge and stuff.
I'm gonna throw some shade here a little bit, I guess, but I would say that this, for me, I mean, okay, Morph's pretty great. I
Different
really
kind,
like,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, but this perspective, like from a naval perspective, like just it just really, really meshes with with Star Citizen, or like what we
Wh-
like
when
think
we
Star
talked
Citizen might
about
be
this,
anyways.
it's like this is why spaceships are ships and not planes, and this is that like triggers it in me because I'm a ship person in real life, and
Yeah.
like for me like this is why I want like medium sized ship or I want to serve on a bigger ship of some of you
Yep.
guys or um and then all of these fighter ships that we have like Arrow and whatnot, that for me is aviation like that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that's
For sure.
a different thing. Which is
Yeah.
maybe
Chegg
why I'm
actually
not like
hasn't
really yeah.
Chegg hasn't watched these yet, so
Yeah,
he needs to go watch these because I think he'll get a kick out of it, given your
I
like,
have to dig. I have another person with the same thing. We're gonna bring
oh
it for the
really?
next episode. Yeah, I told you,
Okay.
and he's
Okay.
really good as well. Amazing.
Cool. Yeah. Anyways, I really enjoyed this. Absolutely check it out, and
Yes.
let us know what you think
Again, what I
in the
said,
comments.
like I did watch some of these videos, and not these ones, but his,
Mm,
and the sound is good. The narration is really good. It's well
yeah.
scripted. Yeah, really good material. All right, we're gonna mention answer the call just briefly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I said I wasn't going to mention answer the call, but um, the first caller on ATC this week is worth listening to. I'm not going to say much more than that,
Yeah,
but basically he brought a different perspective that I haven't heard before, from the from the like perspective of like a CEO CTO kind of um like tech focused but product focused like software perspective, and it was really interesting. He talks very quickly, so like,
and he knows it.
brace yourself for that. Man, like I just thought it was really interesting. Definitely not a perspective I've heard before on ATC, and go look at it.
It was unexpected. I had to.
Yeah.
I listened to the whole thing playing World of Warships, and then when he went to the next caller, which was Doctor, I think, or doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I
docking for
had to
version.
like go back and re-listen the whole thing again to like for everything to click in. So,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
should do that
definitely
again. I
different.
should do that
Yeah,
again.
definitely a different perspective or a different standpoint, and not something you would expect on ATC, at least until now. From now on, I guess I'm gonna expect it every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely pro listen. All right. CIG is moving to, well, eventually, the new 3,000 square meter offices that was announced in Frankfurt, in Germany.
Yeah, Frankfurt, their
And
German office. Yeah.
this was announced by Mr. Brian Chambers on his Twitter. And Maso is extremely happy about this.
Yes. Okay. So this this is interesting too, because we have different perspectives here. Chegg, who's like a relatively new backer, like
I
within a
am
year and a
compared
half.
to you, yeah.
Yeah, and then
It was
me, who
confusing to
remembers.
me, kind of.
Yeah, see, and this is the thing. Like, so when I saw this, and okay, here's the other thing: they signed a 10-year
Yeah.
lease with this new office, and the reason that this kind of jumped out to me is because I'm a Star Citizen boomer, and I remember kind of 2012, 2013, 2014 in the project when most of the world, most of the gaming journalists, and a lot of Star Citizen detractors like Mr. DS um, were saying 90 days tops. Like CIG is never gonna pull it off. They're gonna, they're gonna crash and burn within within 3 months. And then it was, oh well, 90 days after that, and then it was after that, and and then so there was always this kind of shade being thrown. And at the time, I was like, I wanted CIG to succeed, but I also was, like pretty just level headed about it, and
Well, it was new.
but a
Like,
little
you don't
a
know,
little bit
right?
irritated. Sorry.
It was new. So, I mean, you couldn't know
It was
exactly,
new,
right?
and there was that uncertainty, right? Like
Of
it
course.
could crash and burn for all I know, right?
I mean, it still
Uh,
can, to be fair, but
it still could,
when it's
but
brand
when
new,
I
you
see,
don't know until it's like the engines start, right,
yeah,
working.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas, like, and now when I see that they're expanding, that they're moving into this big new office, and that they've signed a 10-year lease, for me, it's kind of just fun to look at that and then flip a bird,
Flip it.
at fuck you, Derek Smart. 90 days tops. Here we are, and years later, and CIG Frankfurt is gonna fucking sign a 10-year lease. So basically, fuck all you haters.
For the sake of all of us who love Star Citizen, let's hope that flipping that bird will age well.
Yeah. So I don't know, and you're right. Like it still might, but it's just kind of from my perspective, again, like coming from that like period of uncertainty where we didn't really know. So to see this kind of, it's a little bit heartwarming, and it's also just kind of like a haha, you guys, you were wrong.
It also helped.
And
This
so
is
it kind of
this is
feels
why
good.
our boomer zoomer in Star Citizen world, how do I call this? Not mechanic, but
Dynamic.
is good, because for me it was so confused. Like, because I came into the game a year and a half ago, and I never had this idea of CIG collapsing because like, for us newer backers, we don't have this idea in mind. It's more like of it's gonna take forever, like
Yeah,
more than like, oh, it's gonna end tomorrow or in 19 or whatever, like. So
yeah,
when you
yeah.
explained that, it made more sense of why that is big news to you guys who have been around for a
Yeah.
longer period of time,
Well,
which is cool.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, big news. I guess it's big news.
It
I don't
is,
know. It
yeah.
just, yeah, it just kind of like it means that at least from their
They have a
perspective,
plan.
and they're feeling like their company is healthy and that they are able to grow.
I will just
And
throw a little bit, like, my first thing was, it's COVID times. And living in Belgrade, I've seen
Right. Yeah.
things happen where like the massive buildings that were built for such things, like like selling the office
Yeah.
space and whatnot, they just stopped. Like no one continues build, like it's like halfway built for a year now, because the industry kind of figured out that you can work from home, which is much
Yeah.
cheaper. Now, obviously, not everything can work like that, but part of me is also like, they had to, oh, we didn't talk about that, but they had to like um sign the time for a convention in LA, and now it's gone. But they had to do it ahead of time because of COVID, not even knowing if they're going to be able to do it or not. Same goes for this. I wouldn't be surprised if they couldn't even buy in for less than 10 years. But this could be this out of my butt. Like this is not
Yeah.
like it just
Maybe.
crossed my mind, but it could be. It
At
could be
any
different.
rate, at the end of the, at the end at any rate, it's like obviously
Not bad news
we
for
got
sure.
our we've got CIG is not short on any problems. The game definitely, doesn't necessarily have necessarily a smooth road ahead of it at this point or anything. But I thought it was interesting for me and like for any of the older backers who remember, when we weren't sure if we were going to even see next patch, you know. But yeah,
It's good news.
interesting.
It's good news.
There's a link. There's a link to the article in the description. Like I said, if you want to read a little bit more about it. But yeah.
All right, the trait for the end. To those of you who follow Star Citizen and watch um the regular Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live, not as Lando Discolano would say, like the Newbie shortened one.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
certainly know about the guy named John Crewe. And
And so we present to you Crew Tube.
CrewTube, yeah. Um John Crewe is, I'm sure, one of the favorite people to have on any of these shows, because
Yeah,
he has an ability to share a lot of information without
yep.
right. So
And
basically,
ships. This is the guy who takes all the ship questions.
yes, and he's, if I'm not wrong, he's part of vehicle experience team as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so what is really heartwarming to me, I play a lot of sim games, and I went to his new channel, so he rebranded. He's streaming now on Twitch and YouTube in his free time, obviously. And he's playing a lot of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. He's not very good at it. So he's definitely not the sim expert by no
well,
means.
you know what? We should withhold judgment here because this is the one caveat. Because he's switching to a new YouTube channel, he mentioned in his Twitter that they're limited to 36 videos uploaded per day. So he for all we know, he could be. I know he does play DCS and also War Thunder as well. So we
Okay.
should we should withhold our judgment as to whether or not he's good
It,
until we see his other
in
videos.
the end, it doesn't really matter much. So what
No.
he has
Yeah.
now is Microsoft Flight Simulator and some War Thunder playing
Yeah.
tanks, or World of Tanks. I'm not sure. I don't play the
I
tanks
think it's
games.
War Thunder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some Warhammer like tabletop stuff. But to me, it's so important that he's playing real sim games and experiencing, for sure. Even if you are a complete noob in something like this, you know what feels good when you try it. And CRG guys are not. They certainly are patient. I mean, they work for CAG, and I'm sure dedicated enough to improve and get to a point where they can like figure out, oh shit, we missed this in the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
guys, and
Yeah.
then and bring it out, right? Maybe play with other devs or whatnot. I don't, I'm not really watching many channels like this. Maybe Mr. Squirrel, because he does all the sims. But I'm going to watch his videos because I want to see his perspective and reactions, because I play these games, so I'm really curious, and I cry about it a lot. Like when we talk about flying, I'm like, this flight system is crap because I can't, like, when I
Yeah.
bank, I don't turn and whatnot, because I'm used to simulation flying. Super happy to see John Crew showing us how he plays games, which certainly
Yeah.
affects their decision. Great
Totally.
stuff.
For me, I think I was just happy to see that he did have that interest in Sims because even though I don't want Star Citizen to necessarily be like a hardcore sim. I definitely
Please
want
no.
the flight to be more like
Amy
bumped
them
back
now.
towards the sim. Yeah. And it's cool to see he's not the only member too. Like Dave Colson, who's another member of the vehicle team. I know he's like into DCS and a bunch of other sim.
Publicly. I'm sure most of them
And
play
you're
it.
right. Yeah, like when you're, especially when you're in a situation where you're having to like to build a flight model and stuff like that. I think any experience that they can get in other sims and stuff like that is only going to make the Star Citizen flight model better. So even though it's in a rough spot right now, sorta,
I mean, it
I
sparks
don't,
ideas, you know. It's
yeah,
so
it
important.
just for me, it's encouraging to 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 see that because I think like that means that we are going to get the flight model is going to get better because just seeing what these guys are playing in their off time you know is a good way to kind of judge that I think but
Very,
yeah
very cool. All right, we're done. Thank you for watching this episode straight out of Stanton. Sorry,
Ba, 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 ba,
Stanton gossip. Gossip.
and
It.
gossip.
Pardon me. It's 4:51 a.m. I'll let you close this, Maso.
If you like this, please like it and give us a subscribe. We're still a pretty small channel, and we even though we just do this for fun, it's kind of fun to see our numbers go up and such. If you have stuff that you want us to watch, new Star Citizen content that we haven't mentioned before, or just anything that's kind of your favorite, absolutely drop it in the comments because we're always on the hunt for more Star Citizen content. Or again, if there's just kind of cool stuff that's happening on social media or whatever, feel free to drop links to
Bro,
that.
links. I'm right.
Yeah, yeah,
We're not here to be above other content creators or anything like that. We don't care. We love content. We love the game. Bring it on.
yep, for sure.
Have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy and safe. Bye.
Bye.